What's going on YouTube? In today's video, I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be epoxying my played out countertops. This is my first epoxy job. Now you're supposed to take everything off of the counters, the stovetop and the sink, but I really don't want to mess with that. So I'm going to go ahead and epoxy these countertops with everything in place. Let's see how that comes out. So the first thing I'm going to do here is wet sand the countertops just to give the bonding primer a little bit of a bite, something to stick onto. And this is the Valspar bonding primer. Now this primer works really well. So make sure if you're gonna do any type of epoxy job or any paint job for that matter, whether it's your countertops, furniture, what have you, put this bonding primer on. It's really gonna give that paint some real bite to it. If you've ever painted any furniture, cabinets, whatever it is, you'll notice that the paint is real prone to getting scuffed real easily. This bonding primer will help keep that paint on whatever surface you're painting. All right, so I got the bonding primer on. Next step is giving the first coat of epoxy. Now right here, this is the epoxy. It's a two-part epoxy, part A and part B. I'm gonna add the part A to the part B, and it's gonna be a 50-50 mix. Now what I'm doing here is I'm going to not mix any color in here. All I'm doing is just kind of getting the surface ready for the color. This is not necessary because originally what I was gonna do was something called a dirty pour, which is you just pour the epoxy color on there and it kind of self-levels. But what I realized when I was doing the job is I was starting to run out of epoxy. So what I had to do is cancel my plans of doing the dirty pour and actually go in and use a roller. So I kind of had to do that on the fly because the epoxy starts to set right as you mix the part A into the part B. So that kind of just threw my plans, you know, what I had originally planned out from the beginning. So I had to, you know, come up with something on the fly. So it didn't really come out the way I wanted it to, but it still came out decent. This is part A and part B mixed, and then I threw in the Mica Flakes. The Mica Flakes, I'll leave a link in the description where you can get that off of Amazon. They come in all different colors. I believe that one's called aluminum. And right here what I did is mixed pearl white with pure white. So the pearl white has a little bit of a flake to it. You really won't be able to see it in the video, but it's pure white mixed with that pearl white, which gives it, just like when that light hits it, it gives it a little bit of a shine, which is a cool effect. Like I said here, this is just a clear primer. Had my son helping me here. This was gonna be the dirty pour. So if you notice, as I'm giving it this dirty pour, the way it's gonna lay out, that's what I really wanted. I wanted something a little bit dramatic, a little bit drastic. I didn't want it to be too subdued. So if I had enough epoxy, what would happen is the epoxy would start to self-level and it will kind of just spread out all along that countertop, but that's not what ended up happening. So right here, we're going over the epoxy with the roller. I'm adding some veins in there. See that we get that cool effect of that Carrera marble. So that looks cool like that. See, so right here, like I said, everything got thrown out the window because I was gonna originally do the dirty pour and not really have to do any type of design or anything like that. So as I'm going, I'm kind of just seeing what, you know, what strokes I'm gonna give it, how exactly I'm gonna lay that pattern out. What I realized after the fact is that aluminum, that silver that I threw in there, is a little bit translucent. If you want it opaque, what you would have to do is mix some pure white paint in there with the whatever color it is, whether it be your silver, aluminum, you know, all different colors, and it would be a little bit more opaque and it wouldn't blend in. It would pop a little bit more in your countertop. Again, the pattern right here we're going with, we're kind of just going on the fly, not really knowing what we're doing. But that's the good thing about epoxy, the countertops. If you're doing something like this, there's really no messing up. You might not get the effect that you wanted, but there really is no messing up. Just like an actual granite slab, they're all different. Not one looks the same. So, you know, that's what's cool about this. The epoxy wasn't too expensive. I'll leave a link in the description where you can get the epoxy, where you can get the Mica Flakes, and everything else I use. The one thing that I didn't include in this video because the memory ran out on my camera is the torching. The torching you do after you lay your epoxy on there, and all that's gonna do is pop any bubbles. We'll bring any bubbles that are in the epoxy, it'll bring them to the top and pop them out. So you're just gonna go with the torch and go over it lightly, over the whole thing, and it's gonna bring the bubbles to the top and pop anything out, so you don't have any bubbles that lay into the epoxy and get trapped. So right here I'm adding some more veins. And again, you can have these veins be more pronounced or you can have them more subdued. But look at that, that looks cool. See, this is a finished product right here. Really glad the way this came out. And the finish on this is a real gloss finish. It actually, to the naked eye, it actually looks like marble until you get up close and see what it really is. Especially if you have some beveled edges, I mean, that would look killer. And the countertops before were just plain white. Like I said, they're played out, plain white, and it just freshens up the kitchen. Look at that, it's just plain white countertops, kind of a matte finish. Look at that. I mean, that looks like a few $1,000s worth of marble slab right there. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching and check you on the next one.